Hi, beautiful beings under the stratosphere. And this channel, we're all about the low vibe and the high vibe. But just because I'm all about the high vibe and the undercurrent vibe is actually lifted and up, that doesn't mean that there's not days that there's a low vibe. And I really felt like today and yesterday, I was really in the mud mood, no? Because it's so thick and so dense. It's even raining outside right now, so like the barometric pressure is even like heavy on my weight on my shoulders. And I did have programmed this morning a training, and I thought that would revamp me. And right in the middle of the training, I got the call to go pick up my car at the garage. So even this reboot, I was glad for the call, but I wasn't able to do this physical reboot. And that is my number one for you, which is do the physical reboot if you can, right? So if you want to get out of the mud of the mood, you need to take action with your body and give it some movement and some release. So I got a little relief. I wasn't able to finish the class, so it kind of got interrupted. I have something else planned after this video to kind of release that. And normally these are things that set in because of something that has happened. So I tried to pinpoint yesterday and what has been coming up since last week, why the frequency or the vibe is dropping different than before. Like there normally is a specific trail of thought, a specific problem that's going on. There's something that's happening that you're not aware of. I was actually aware of it, and I felt the vibrational drop when it happened, when I first called my vets to make the appointment to get the international certificate for my pet to travel. And they told me that they couldn't see me till 2 months from now, and which is too late. Because I need to, if you're traveling international, as if you needed to know, with a pet, emotional support, you need to have this documentation done and into the consulate of the country that you're traveling to within the 3 months. But it takes the consulate at least 3 weeks or more to process it, and then they have to mail it back to you. So you can't process it right before you leave. You have to start 3 months before the date. So this dropped me. I said, fine, I'll fix it. The next day I called the other veterinary place that was beforehand, and they said the person who used to do this paperwork no longer works for them. So then I called a third place, and they gave me a little hope, and they said that they would get back to me. And in this wait of them getting back to me, I noticed that I started to have this drop because I was depending on someone. I didn't know when they'd get back to me or etc. So I had written down some notes. One, when I realized it, and I also didn't feel like coming on and making any videos or sharing anything because I was not feeling with it. I said, okay, allow the low vibe. I can't, which goes right in with the another one. Don't try to convince yourself of anything. So I tried to reboot physically. I noticed I'm like, okay, allow the low vibe. Why? Why should you allow it? Not for long, but I said, okay, I'm feeling really down in this moment. If you don't allow it and you try to override it, you won't get clarity on what is your limitation, your restraint, your obstacle in the moment, because you're trying to hold the emotion back, but the emotion has the information. So let me write that down. I just wrote a really interesting phrase down. So I like the one, the emotion has the information, but then I put feed the mud to get clarity. feed the mud. So like this mass, this beast, in filling the floor of my room, that I'm just like, all right, let's just be down. Let's just lay on the bed. Let's just, go zone out. I noticed that trying to convince myself to do the things it's counterintuitive, because your mind and your body are telling you, no, we're going in this direction because there's something that needs to be resolved here. And you're like, yeah, but I want to be happy peppy, right? This is what I'm about. And when I'm in a good mood, that's when I get things done. That's when I go faster. That's when I channel inspiration. That's when creativity comes down. And just even talking about it lifts me up. There's a totally different energy when I was just talking to you about the mud and the mood. So the next one is, if the routine is in place, follow it. Thankfully, I have a set routine. So I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling so hot, but I have these things to do. And I pulled through with the phone calls and stuff. And I went from shift from production to learning mode. So in going forward with my projects of figuring out the financial arena and how I'm going to make this work in my life, and wanting to improve my YouTube skills, my financial skills, all the other things, there's a lot I need to learn. And there's a lot that I do practicing, like right now, creating, right? So, I'm not feeling like, talk to people, make a video. Like, right now, I don't feel like I'm in the mud. So everything is like, I said, but learn something then. Learn something. So I have my list of, here's my passion school list of things, of courses and stuff, and every time I get one done, I try to fill the whole line, because that way I noticed how you have the tendency just to continue doing the easy one. So I made this list to make sure that I stick on track of what I'm doing. But what I also hammered away at was, okay, I said, I'm gonna keep calling in a spiral, going out from my town, all the veterinary offices, services. They told me everybody had a different story. It really felt like South America, because that's how it is in Bolivia. You just ask one person, they're like, oh, it's here in this. You call them, they're like, no, we don't do that. It's over here in this. I'm like, I call them, they're like, oh, no, they do it. I'm like, they just told me they don't do it, right? So you really need to be. So I made over 15 phone calls this morning. And I finally found a location that can do this certificate for me, and nailed it for next week. And I finally realized that then the vibe was set free. Because I allowed myself to go down in the vibe, I was in the mud, I could see that this was the thing that would make the shift. And I needed to resolve this as soon as possible. I couldn't wait for another week for someone to call me and let me know if they feel like doing the thing for me, right? So I like the one of shifting from production to learning, but wallowing in it really helps you find the path out of it sooner. And now I kind of like, I'm like, well, that was it. That was it. And now I just have like the residual sensation is left with me of what it was. So that's what I have today. My goal is also to make a few shorter videos, not so long, and try to see if I can add a little bit of editing and make it a little bit funner, interesting for myself, but as well for my viewers, see if it makes a difference. All right, big hug to you, and remember, every day you wake up stronger. Bye-bye.